What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Coffee and Coaching. I've got the one and only Kris Lawson joining us in from sunny Southern California. How are you doing?
Good morning.
Morning. Nice little. I'm gonna just sit outside and enjoy the landscape. Love
Absolutely, it's a beautiful morning here in San Diego. So
I know I'm like, I think I need to get outside more. Like, get outside.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. So, Kris, for everybody kind of tuning in, let's give a little intro about yourself.
Okay, well, I am right between San Diego and Orange County, so I serve both counties. I'm 25-year veteran, I think, of this business. I got my license when I was pretty young, and I love it. And I love, helping people. And I got a deal accepted last night that's been really tough, so I'm stoked this morning.
You should be. I know we were talking about it before we went live, and man, just how crazy things are. I mean, it's just all over the country, and we always joke, and I'm like, how are people still buying houses in California? We see all of the Californians coming to Texas and Florida, but no, it's definitely still crazy all over the place.
Yep, it is. Everybody I talk to all around the country, it's the same market. And I've never personally seen the same market everywhere where, it's just a seller's market overwhelmingly.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy because, we were always, just had some great clients over the years out in California, Southern California. Dean O'Dell was always kind of my barometer, right? He would always, I could tell what was going to go on across the country by what was happening, with him.
Yeah.
And then I would also gauge Lawton, right? Lawton is always behind the curve when it comes to anything real estate related, but they're in the same situation, right? Historic lows and inventory. It's nuts. So, Kris, 25 years plus in the business. I know I've had the opportunity to work with you, a couple different times. And what was life before real estate?
Oh gosh. I was so young, to be honest. I just, I was a buyer for Price Club, which is now Costco. I got my license, I started actually in commercial real estate, not as an agent, but as a management person. And then I stayed home for maybe 10 years raising my kids. And now I've been back at it full time, like double full for like 15 years.
What kind of out of the game for a while, what sucked you back in?
I wanted to go back to work and I couldn't think of like working for someone else. I just didn't want to do that. So I went in as a solo person, I would say kind of part-time-ish, while my kids were still little. And then I got to the point where I really couldn't do any more business on my own. And this was before I met you or even knew what coaching was all about. And my broker at Keller Williams at the time said, there's this guy in our office who's very similar to you. He's solo, he's maxed out. Maybe you guys should think about partnering. And that was Dan Keller. And we were partners, great partners for 15 years. Yeah. And now he's kind of semi-retiring. So I've been really on my own again for like 2 years. So
I was, folks out there trying to struggle through on their own, and the two of you kind of partnered up and joined forces and tackled it together. How was that process and experience? Dan's such a great guy, but how was from a partnership perspective, the goods, the bads, the uglies, the things, if somebody's out there thinking, man, I probably should, maybe look at that, or I have an opportunity to partner with somebody, what would you say?
I saw a lot of benefit. I mean, part of it is I think having a male-female partnership is kind of nice because, there's kind of male energy, female energy. So like if we had a client that was sort of macho, all about the guys, then Dan would kind of take the lead on that. I think the reason our partnership worked is because we both were all in for each other. Like, both worked our asses off, super high work ethic, always had each other's back. And that, I think, is key. Because if one person, because we split everything 50-50, every commission, every expense. And there were times that, I didn't touch a deal and it was all him. But, you have to both be equally working in the business and on the business. Otherwise, one person's going to get resentful. Most partnerships don't really work unless it's like husband and wife that I've seen.
Yeah.
But ours worked great. But it was definitely time for me to kind of peel away. It was time for him. He's got a beautiful boat down in Dana Point Harbor he never used. So I'm like, dude, you have got
You gotta go.
Don't do real estate until you die, because he's about 15 years older than I am. But yeah, it worked great for us. But like everything, there's just kind of a natural time to do something different. And we were both at that stage. But we have a listing together right now from a past client. So we're still dabbling together, but mostly it's just me.
Yeah, no, that's such a great point. I'm glad you you shared that, because it really is. I've been in great partnerships. I've been in terrible partnerships. And there is that all in for each other. I loved how you put that, because that is so key. So for you guys, listening in, I mean, Kris nailed it. And if what I would say too, Kris, if you are in a partnership and it doesn't feel everybody's all in, maybe have that tough conversation, quit being a chicken and sit down and say, hey, I just don't see this is working. It doesn't feel like you're all in, and vice versa. Right. That person might think, hell yeah, I'm all in, but it's just not being on the same
page. You're all in, it's not my all in.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
So key to sit down.
And then we, as we built a pretty big team while we were partners. We had a team of, an assistant, an ISA, and then like 7 agents, which in this area is a big team.
Right.
So we've kind of gone through all of it.
Yeah. What was that like? You're, kind of on your own. I mean, you've got a few folks you're mentoring, but larger team size. What was that experience?
I mean, we were definitely in coaching then and got a lot of guidance, from you guys. And we really needed it, because there were times that, people are people and have personalities and hangups. And, there were times that we had to have really hard conversations with people. And, they're independent contractors at the end of the day. They had a contract with us for certain responsibilities and, accountability. But it's hard because they went into this business to be independent and not have a boss, basically. And when you're a team leader or team owner, you have to manage the process, because, we spent a lot of money on leads and systems and tools and office space and everything. And it's like, we felt all in with them too. So we needed them to reciprocate and be a good team member. And at one point we had a really, really high functioning, my dog just came out here with the ball. I may have to get some help with that. They're all like, Mom's not in the office.
I think everybody's like, like maybe 18 months ago, it might be a little like, hey, what's going on? Now it's like, hey, okay.
I know. So if it gets really bad, I'll go grab the ball. But so I am rebuilding a team now. I kind of relocated more to San Diego County, even though I still serve both. And I just hired my first buyer's agent a couple days ago. I haven't even told you yet.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So but I liked having a team. It just takes a lot of organization, a lot of talk about got a minute. There are a lot of if somebody needs help, you've got to drop it and help them, especially the newer agents.
Kris, share the decision-making process that you kind of went through to, hey, I'm on my own. Hey, I want to rebuild the team. Kind of share that thought process, because I know you're not alone. There's, a lot of agents out there that's kind of on their mind, but what was your thought process to make that decision?
I really sat with it for about a year. I just sort of let everything just settle and chill. And then I kind of just talked, soul searched a little bit and said, do I want to do this? My kids are grown now. I have a little more freedom, a little more flexibility. And I know what it takes, when you have people on your team that are counting on you. You make certain promises to them of them being better off on your team than they would be alone. And I take that really seriously. I want them to be successful and eventually go off and do their own thing. So I just came to that decision that it's good. But the old adage of hire slowly and fire quickly is definitely going to be one of the cornerstones. I'm going to make sure, people want to be on a team for the right reasons, that they're open, coachable, all of that. Otherwise, it can be a huge waste of time for everybody.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, suck the energy out of you, with that. So I know, prior to, team, prior to individual now rebuilding, you guys were heavy, lead gen source, right? And so what are you seeing, now for you, single, looking to grow, get back into it? What's working kind of that you're seeing the best for you in the business right now?
I'm not focusing on buyers right now. I will tell you that. It is just, it's too hard. I mean, it's not that it's too much work. It's just, I like helping people and making people happy. And when you're writing offers, and constantly disappointing, ready to go, motivated buyers, it's just hard, it's sad. So I am really focusing on listings. And, I know this is the same for everybody. Sellers are like, unless they're moving out of the area or moving into an assisted living or moving in with their kids or doing something, they're buyers now. So a lot of people want to sell, but they're like, I don't know where I'm going to go.
Right.
And normally that's an easy fix. No problem. We'll have you stay in your house. You can do a rent back. I got this, but the numbers are not in your favor when you're representing a buyer right now. And I also kind of feel like a responsibility to help this inventory problem. So I'm just doing a lot of circle calling around recent listings that I've had, or have, and just circle calling neighborhoods. We just got a listing the other day just from circle calling, and we ended up talking to this gal's ex-husband, and he's like, yeah, I think she wants to sell the house. Here's her cell phone. I'm like, great. And then now we're going to list it next week. So, but she had 2 homes, so she's moving into one of her other ones. So that one's easy. I mean, we are seeing a lot of rent backs, and hopefully you could find, a seller, a replacement home within a reasonable amount of time. But there are enough people moving out of the area, or just absentee owners is great because they can cash in on this market. They don't have to find somewhere to go. So that's kind of our lead gen efforts now, is where we're going. And obviously if a buyer, we have, I don't even know, 5,000 buyers in our sync database, and they're really, some of them are really, really active. I mean, if they're ready to go and at a decent price point that I know we have a good shot of getting them something, of course, I'll help them. But the focus right now more than ever is on listings.
Yeah, 100%. And so the circle calling is just identifying target areas within the marketplace and just calling them, right? Reaching out with your message of, hey, inventory, buyers, no sellers. If you're thinking about selling, great time to possibly cash out. How are those conversations going? Are the people that you're connecting with receptive to the phone call?
Sometimes not at first, but especially if you're calling about a listing in their neighborhood, they usually will talk to you. So I just took another listing in my own neighborhood. So I'm going to call all my neighbors. I don't know most of them, but I'm going to call them and say, hey, there's a new listing in our area. I mean, obviously, who's not going to want to say, learn more about it? I'm not calling you to see if you want to list your house. I really am. But, I'm just telling you about a new listing and prices are so high and, that kind of thing. And then I have a script for it, obviously, and then the conversation just gets around to them. How long have you lived in the area? Isn't it great? If you were to move, where would you go? Have you thought about selling? Because prices literally have never been higher.
Right.
And it's never been easier to sell your house. So the conversation is pretty good, when you've got that kind of, but with EXP or whoever your brokerage is, you can use other people's listings to call around, even if you're a new agent. Just pick a listing from your brokerage and it's still our listing, right?
Yeah.
So use that, because a lot of new agents that I mentor are like, yeah, but you have all these listings. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Just find some that are from EXP and those can be considered your listings because they are.
Kris, it's crazy, the conversations. I love that point, because within the brokerage, I mean, you can say that with certainty, and it's not a lie.
Nope.
So the thing with how receptive people are in the neighborhood. So like, I know in our neighborhood, had a great conversation with Alex about this last week, and just getting out and chatting with the neighbors, and Alex is just like, I can't believe what things are selling for. And his neighbors are like, are you serious?
Yeah.
And so now they're becoming a little bit like, I can put an extra 50,000 in my pocket, and that, like, really? And so it's really piquing the interest, and I'm seeing a lot of feedback for that. And we've got a great client up in upstate Washington that is, we were just talking yesterday, and he's like, hey, he goes, there's this neighborhood that, like, people don't ever move out of, right? Like, they move into, they're there, that homes never come on the market. And he goes, we've got one, is, a situation to where it's coming on the market. And he goes, I think I'm going to get out and meet all of the neighbors this weekend and just see, because, like, there's no other way to get into that neighborhood. So
yeah,
I think some of the ground and pound, because I don't know of any ads that are working for sellers.
yeah,
I really think it's the hustle, the sweat, the ground and pound, flyers, door hangers, door knocking,
yeah,
calling, just anything you can to get their attention, to have that conversation. Because, I mean, I'm paying attention like crazy for every
absolutely.
property that's coming on the market, just because I can't believe. I mean, a property came on the market that is 100,000 over list price, then it should sell for, and it'll probably sell.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because I have talked to a few buyers that said, what did they say? I feel like this house isn't worth this. I'm overpaying for this house. And I said, the market is telling you this house is worth it. There's 15 buyers that are going to write offers on it. It may be not worth it to you right now because, I mean, to me, that's such an arbitrary thing. It's like something is worth what someone will pay for it.
Right.
Is a Lamborghini worth what somebody will pay for it? To that person, yeah. I mean, so it is really high. It's a little scary. Like, how much higher can it get? I mean, for a basic 3-bedroom home here, like 1975-ish with a decent lot, selling for like $925. That house would have been $750 6 months ago. It's like,
unbelievable.
It is, but it's great. Sellers, it's a good opportunity for people that have been waiting for this market that, and then, things will correct eventually. And then the buyers will hopefully have some good opportunities too. Investors will have some nice opportunities. We just need more inventory.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And the Every Door Direct is a really cheap way for people to canvas a neighborhood, especially people on more of a, budget that don't want, it's just a lot cheaper to do it that way. And so if you've got a neighborhood you want to, even just doing recent sales in the neighborhood, that will shock people enough.
Yeah.
Because not everybody's attached to Zillow or whatever to keep up with what their neighborhood's doing.
Yeah. I'm Redfin. I love their app, their platform. It's
exactly. I know.
It's good. It's really good.
Yeah. And a lot of our clients are using it. So
Kris, so, we were chatting before we went live, and kind of this exact situation, right? You just got a deal, $30K over appraisal. How are you coaching, your clients through that situation, right? I mean, that's like a shock for people to be like 30,000 over what the appraiser said it's worth.
Yeah.
So how are you coaching clients through that?
Well, a lot of the deals around here, and I'm sure elsewhere in the country, they want you to waive the appraisal contingency anyway, which here in California, you've got a million other contingencies that you can bail on a transaction on, and buyers know it. But I just prepare them from the beginning and say, the appraisers are kind of keeping up with what's going on, but they have to go by comps, and comps are kind of like old news, because it's going so fast. So I just prepare them to say, we may have an issue with the appraisal. I'm going to meet the appraiser there. I'm going to bring my own comps. I'm going to do everything I can to get him or her to see the value, but we may have a problem. And if we do, this is what it looks like. Because it's like we were talking about before, in a normal market, buyer and seller would kind of work it out, maybe they'd meet in the middle, or there'd be something. Sellers aren't willing to do anything now because they don't have to. They've got 5 other offers right behind yours that are happy to do it. So I feel like the appraisals are getting a little better, but I just prepare them and say, okay, here's the deal. If it's a $900,000 house and the appraisal comes in at $890, we're 10,000 off. So that means you either need to come in with 10,000 more, or if you've got a big down payment, it just means you have a little less down payment, and just explain what it means. And again, you know, I had a buyer recently say, well, that means I'm overpaying for the house. I'm like, not really, because every new listing comes on the market is 10 or 20,000 higher than the previous, not even sale, previous escrow. So you'll make up that 20,000 or whatever it is quickly, because we're not at the top.
Yeah.
Or even close.
Yeah. It's, you know, I mean, it's like even what we're seeing with new construction. I mean, they're so far build outs and they won't quote you price. They won't lock price of what the property is.
That is crazy.
Until it gets a little bit closer to completion, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. So, you know, Jennifer, you know, talking about, you know, doing things to get a little creative. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, if we had a great property right now in the lot market, our bank has one of those cool grills that you can, you know, and tow along. We did a lot of events with that. Man, if I had a great house right now, and you know, I would be doing all kinds of little festivities to. That's
a good point.
People.
Yeah. One of the women that I'm mentoring right now, she wants to focus on her neighborhood, which is a pretty tight knit, kind of tracty sort of neighborhood. And we just put a whole calendar together. You know, she's going to do like an ice cream truck in the summer. She's going to do, there's a lot of older people in the neighborhood. So she's going to do like a shredding event here in a couple weeks. So we, you know, planned out 4 events for the year, you know, for each kind of season. So spring, summer, fall, and winter. And I think, you know, the thing about that is it's all about promotion. You've got to get the word out, but that's also a good reason to call people or leave stuff on their door. I mean, because you want to make sure if you're going to spend the money and the effort and everything that you get a good turnout. But that's a really good point.
Yeah. Community sites, whatever you can do. You know, I would, you know, neighborhood mayor Facebook group, which is Andrew Gaydosh, you know, tap into him. I mean, he's kind of the godfather of neighborhood, taking over neighborhood domination and you know, really focused on events. That's Gaydosh's, but you nailed it, right? It's the promotion.
Yeah.
And you've got to do a great job at promoting the event.
Yeah. But it's a good opportunity to call people and talk to people and walk the neighborhood. And, you know, now that people are coming out of, you know, their houses more, I don't mind when people knock on my door now. I wasn't real stoked about it, you know, a year ago. But for most people, you know, if you're just dropping something off or you're basically inviting them to something, right? That you're hosting. You know, most people aren't going to object to that.
Yeah. No, it's things have changed. It's a little different.
For
sure.
So it keeps us on our toes in this business.
It does. It is. It's crazy. It's always trying to figure it out. So, you know, for you right now, getting back going, starting to restructure, kind of rebuild from the team, you know, moving away from Dan, kind of your own thing, starting to build. Like, what's most important for you right now?
I think for me, it's just getting really strategic and getting everything really in place. I'm not, I mean, I'll admit my own shortcomings, but I'm not the most consistently consistent person. I have to really push myself to be on a schedule and to really do the same things the same way, you know, for consistency, you know, especially training new agents. I want to get all my training stuff dialed in so that I'm not reinventing the wheel every time, you know, somebody comes on board. So that's what I'm really focusing on right now. And then obviously I've got to keep working my own business, but just really implementing, you know, we were so buyer agent heavy because we had so many buyers and have had this system for so many years that it's interesting to shift my mindset to train other people to do listing, you know, listing appointments and how to farm listings or, you know, lead gen for listings. So that's been a little, you know, mind shift for me. But just getting everything in place before, it's almost like, I don't know, an analogy. It's almost like, you know, you don't even have the car yet, but you're, you know, planning on all these things you're going to do to it. It's like, you got to do right things, right order that you talk
Right.
about.
Yeah.
And that's where you come in. So, you know, that for me is the biggest thing. And now that I have this new agent, and he's a brand new agent, but he's been in outside sales forever. I think he's going to be a rock star.
Yeah, that's
Super
fantastic.
hungry. Yeah, really great guy. So I think it'll be a nice first hire, you know, to kind of get things back on board. And then my next hire is going to be an assistant.
Yeah. Yeah. So talk about that. You know, why get an agent before an assistant? So what was the thinking in, you know, that order?
So it was against my initial thought, you know, and plan. He came into me as a mentee, you know, through EXP. And while we were talking, he said, you know, I really want to join a team. And he's an older guy. He's probably, I don't know, 42. I mean, not older, but he's not a kid. And he said, I just really see the value of a team. He goes, I know how to sell. I don't know anything about real estate. And I'm, you know, thinking I want to join a team. And that kind of got me like, I really like this guy. I think he's really sharp. He's going to be a good agent. So that kind of pushed me forward a little faster. But I think an assistant isn't far behind.
Right.
You know,
Right.
like maybe another month or so.
Saying yes to talent. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. I think even, you know, if you're looking to grow a team, you know, always saying yes to talent is always be looking, always saying yes.
Yep.
That was one of the mistakes I know we made. Critical mistake is that we weren't aggressive enough looking for talent all the time.
Yeah. And when we had a bigger team, that was our adage. I mean, I remember our team leader at Keller Williams calling us down and saying, oh my God, I just interviewed this agent. He is a rock star. Like, you need to talk to him. He ended up being our ISA because he really didn't, he was in college and stuff and didn't have the time to really be a full-time agent, but he was our ISA and he killed it. We weren't looking for an ISA, but we were not going to pass him up and have him join some other team. And it turned out he was really talented. So it was the right thing to do. But you're right. You know, if you meet somebody that you think is going to be amazing, make room for them, figure it out.
Yeah.
And then put him in the right role.
Right. It's the whole get them on the bus and then, you know, get them in the right seat. That's a great example, right? That's yeah, you know, get talent and then, okay, hey, you're going to be great in this role, and being able to get them into that seat. That's a great point.
Yeah.
What so zoom out for us a little bit. What's kind of on the horizon, bigger picture for you? What do you know, kind of envision the business looking like, you know, 12, 18, 24 months from now?
You know, I'm about to do my second quarter kind of planning and really seeing where we're going. But I think, you know, I'd like to have the assistant on board within, you know, the next quarter. It'll be interesting to see where the market is in a year, because if things are different, then I'll be focusing more on more buyer's agents and then getting all those buyers we have into contract. And there will be a lot of hungry buyers, I think, at that time that aren't doing well right now. Right. So it could shift tremendously in 12 to 18 months, the focus. But right now I'm just planning on the admin, who would also be my transaction coordinator, and just getting as many listings as possible, possibly bringing on another listing specialist. And then as the market shifts and changes, we have to also. So their focus might be more of a hybrid, you know, buyers and listings, you know, who knows? I mean, I didn't see this market coming. Right. And I don't think anybody else did either. And so who knows what's going to happen in a year? I mean, it could just be skyrocketing even more and we're still in the same market. Who knows? Right.
You know? So with the agent coming on, I mean, you guys are going to all focus on listings.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's more important than ever to really have your finger on the pulse of what is going on in your market, because people are so misinformed. Even other agents that aren't very experienced or not that busy, they don't get it. And I'm like, no, you have to be up on exactly what's going on, how to write your offers to even get it considered, what to give up, you know. also right now, a really tight relationship with your lender is super important, because they have to be able to tell you, okay, yeah, this person can go, 30,000 over asking, or yeah, you can waive the loan contingency because they're underwritten and pre-approved. Everything you can get rid of right now, you have to. But you also don't want to put your buyer in a bad position, and God forbid they lose their deposit or whatever. So I think you've got to have a solid team. You also, contingency periods, inspection periods, everything is cut down. And so you've got to have a good inspector, a good termite person, whoever your team is, they have to be really on it and aware of what's going on in this market for you to have any success with getting buyers offers accepted.
It is such a challenge, and doing a lot of work on the front end.
Yeah, and a lot of managing expectations, setting expectations, letting them know, not to be negative, but your first offer probably won't get accepted. We're up against, they had 50 showings this weekend and they have 12 offers. 11 people are not going to get that house. We're going to try to make you the one that does, but it might not be. So we can't, just have to get back on the horse, get really sharpen your pencil as much as you can in terms of everything. And eventually, we'll get the right one. So.
Yeah, a little bit of patience, a little bit of education, making sure that they're really ready to go. I think is key. Alex, we were chatting a little bit, and he's like, "Man, if I'm working buyers, I'm trying to get the highest price point buyers I can."
Yep. Well, my next door neighbor's house, who I'm listing, I referred them to Alex because they're moving to Texas, and I warned them. I'm like, "You're gonna think, life is great being a seller, but here's what's gonna happen when you're a buyer."
Yeah.
So remember this great giddy feeling. And sure enough, they just came back from their first trip and they're like, holy shit, it is crazy. I'm like, I know. I tried to tell you.
Yeah.
So,
it really is. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So, yeah. So, but hopefully everybody will get a house here eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll patience, time. How's how's things outside of real estate?
Things outside real estate are great. For me, I have a great life. I, am able, even though we live in San Diego, we've got like a half-acre lot and we've got chickens, and, we kind of live in the country, which I love. Getting ready to travel. We've got several trips lined up. And so I'm really happy about that. Can't wait.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's been good
kids are healthy and happy, and everything's good.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, cool. Well, Kris, I appreciate you jumping in. Beautiful.
Of course.
Southern California. I love the sunshine. Yeah. We had a call not too long ago at the beach. You were at the beach.
Right. I was at the beach. Yeah. Which
awesome.
I don't get to often enough, but
yeah. Well, fantastic. Kris, if somebody wanted to kind of connect and have a conversation, what's the best way to reach out and connect with you?
Well, my email is kris.lawson@exprealty.com. And my cell, and anybody's always welcome to reach out, is 949-395-5931.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Kris, thank you for jumping in, having a little coffee with me this morning out there on the patio. Love it. Awesome. Appreciate y'all. Thanks everybody tuning in. Connect with Kris if you guys have any questions, and look forward to chatting with you guys on the next episode. See ya.
Bye.